Hey, welcome back to another Just 5 Mins. The missing episode that didn't quite get published. But anyway, not to worry. This is all about Azure ARC. So you know what Azure is, the cloud platform with squillions of different services. Well, Azure ARC lets you reach outside of that cloud into, say, your own on-premise infrastructure. Selectively, of course. And again, a lot of people that I've spoken to about this have got, mixed feelings why you probably use this. But the fact of the matter is, one use case is if you've got a SQL server on premise, but you need to share that data. Again, there's all the security concerns and things like that, but the fact is that you can actually enable that VM to actually show up, if you like, within Azure with all the access and security controls that gives you. I'm sure the other cloud providers have got something similar. And talking of which, these they don't always have to be just VMs, by the way, but this is one use case. But you may have a VM in AWS for some reason that you want to pull in. It sort of, on the face of it, doesn't make sense why you would use it. But when you delve into it a little bit further, it does start to sound quite an interesting proposition. And again, you've also got, there's a lot of different ARC-enabled services being brought out. I mean, it's not anything new. It's been around for what, 2, 3, probably 4 years, possibly. But an interesting thing is that you can have Azure-enabled or ARC-enabled SQL servers, so you can actually share bits of data across from your, say, on-premise to, up in the cloud. And again, you get all that security goodness, the governance, all the access controls. But also from a developer perspective, you can, if you've got servers or applications running on-premise, but again, you want to sort of like unify that under one sort of cloud platform, you can do it. But interestingly, what you can also do is if you've got like a VM or a cluster, like a Kubernetes cluster outside of Azure, you can run the cloud native apps on those technically outside of Azure. So things like Azure App Services, Functions, Logic Apps, Event Grid, and good old Azure API Management. But you can blend those services across across the other sort of infrastructure points that you've got, whether it's your on-premise stuff or whether you've got services. Maybe it's a there's something where you've got VMs running in AWS for specific reasons, or Google Cloud Compute. But quite an interesting perspective. And I can see some, quite interesting uses. And again, also the fact that, say, for instance, if you've got a SQL server, you want to sort of make it available to other Azure services and have the central security and oversight of that. But the good thing is, yes, you could go down as Azure SQL managed instances, for instance, or Azure VM for SQL, or whatever it might be. But of course, it's costing you money. So if you've got your own server running SQL, you can still take advantage of all the lovely tools and stuff that can handle like auto backups and all those sorts of lovely things. Again, bit of an interesting one, because a lot of people would say, well, yeah, but we've got our IT people to do that internally. But as things get more hybrid across the different sort of cloud providers, I think more and more this is going to pop up as an option. And again, because it isn't just limited to your on-premise type of servers as well, it could be across other cloud providers. But you see a central view of that real estate, but also, like I say, the central security governance management of that infrastructure as well. But interesting, like I said, from a developer perspective, is being able to run those Azure functions and things essentially on your local VMs, which is quite interesting. But I'll put some links below. But that's what I've got this time, so we will leave you there and catch you on the next one.